us live now on YouTube. We'll see if that is indeed the case. It's still, there we go. Now, okay, so my name is Sheila Corona. Welcome to New Light Streaming Love. If you are watching this after the fact on Sassy C or Sheila, I highly recommend that. Sorry about that. All of a sudden, apparently now, I've got more stuff trying to come up. So if you're watching this after the fact, not live on Sassy C or Sheila, come over here to New Light Streaming Love and subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you will get. I'm seeing how very tired I look, which is part of the reason why I wanted to come and do a live this morning. Because since I last was here, a lot of things have kind of got kicked into high gear for me personally. And so you guys all know, those of you that have been keeping up with the lives are aware that we are moving house here. And I thought, I thought apparently mistakenly that we had 2 more weeks. The plan, as far as I was concerned, what I knew was that we were going to be taking possession the last 2 weeks of this month. I'm sorry, of February, so that we could begin our first month on March 1st. Well, originally it was supposed to be the last part of December. Then it was going to be the last part of January. And, we had communicated, journey into camera is hella clear. Oh, well, you could see all the tiredness. Is that because nothing's, I haven't done anything and it's still the same camera. So the movers are now coming on the 5th, and that's a pretty short amount of time. So with Lisa not, full strength, this takes a lot of doing for all of us. So that's where we're at on that. And I wanted to, maybe the light looks good. Well, I guess that could be it. It's changing in here now. Oh, okay. All right. We have the sage and the oakman. Okay, so these actually, for me, they carry very much, they sort of overlap. Their energy sort of overlaps a little for me. I wanted to come and do this live also to say that this will probably be the last time you see me for at least a week, maybe longer, because I am getting ready to, really pull out things here. Well, there's a lot to pack, you know what I mean? So all the way around. My things, I just have to secure them in a different way than I ever have before. Good morning, Vanessa. I'm on my way out, but wanted to say hello. Oh, well, that's wonderful, sweetheart. I'm glad that to know you're still out there. And once I get in the new place and settled, we'll have to have a conversation, see how you are and stuff. At any rate, yeah, so a lot going on. Today will be like I said, the last one, because I'm going to thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you, James. Appreciate that. Like I said, I really think it's a whole new. That's part of the reason I was disappointed that we didn't have that extra time, because there's still some things. Well, and I am taking the time to go through and get rid of, some things that I've held on to for some reasons I don't even know why. You know what I mean? Luckily for me, I'd already done quite a bit of that before this move, preparing myself to one day, do van life. So everything I own is in this room. And I knew that when the time came to leave here or whatever, that there would need to be another paring down. And it is being pared down. Trust me. The hope or the intention, I should say, is that several of the tarot books that I shared with you that left also show up because they're not in the place they should have been. So exactly where they are, I have no clue. So we'll just have to see about that at any rate. So we'd like to have a jumper here for the Alchemy Elementals deck. Um, Something does feel different in the collective to me. I would love to hear from you guys as to what you feel it is. There's a lot of symbolism, and I know that for me, symbolism is different for each being. You know what I mean? It's again, different things will mean different things to different people. There's no way around that. Because of how we learn things and how whether they stay or not. And I personally feel like that's also indicative of whatever one is drawn to uh, is for them in some way, you know. So, tell me what you're seeing. I mean, those of you that are here live, you feel free to do it now. Those that will be seeing this later or on Sassy Seer Sheila, because I am going to put this up. I keep saying that, and I didn't do the last one, but I am going to do this one so I can tell everybody that I'm not going to be here for at least a week, maybe two. But that does not mean that the channel is going away at all. It just means I'll be coming from a new location shortly. Dance of the Divine Feminine, card number 42. Numerologically, that's a 6. And what else do we have here? Oh, 19, which is a 1 numerologically. 47, which is an 11 numerologically. And 75, which isn't that a 3? I believe that's a 3 numerologically. So very interesting. 3, 6, 1, 3, 6, 11. All numbers for me, the one I am, 6, balance, love, harmony. 3, the Trinity, and 11, a master number. So, Well, I want to say this, at least for myself, and I'm pretty sure for Journey, and I know for Lisa, at this moment of now, it feels like a master class in really getting to the meat of whatever is still uh, hanging by a thread, maybe. Yeah, um, because at least for us over here, moving moving through a move is always sort of stressful anyway. Then you put sickness on top of that, and well, quite frankly, I'll speak for myself. An older gal who has trouble, lifting and all that kind of thing. It can be exhausting. Ask me how I know. Because the house is so small too. See, it's a comical situation. Ask me how many times I've had these tubs up on my bed, back down on my off my bed, on my bed, off my bed. Because I have to move this out of the way so I can get to that, but I have to have that somewhere out there where I can pack it. That doesn't have to be moved afterwards because it's going to be too damn heavy. So it's a game, right? At this moment, and it's a bit of a frustrating one because it involves a lot of back and forth walking and whatnot. So the card that come out is surrender to setting limits. So I guess that's a good thing after I'm just talking about my own limits, right? It is healthy to set boundaries in relationships. Practice expressing your needs and remember that no is a complete sentence. Well, that's true. It is. And I have to be diligent and take care of myself. Now, I stayed up a little too late sorting some things here in my room last night. And that's why I feel so tired. And also, I don't know about y'all, but, and it might be a product of having a lot of dust stirring up in here, but I feel I woke up with, um, not really clogged necessarily, but the words feel like I've been hit by a truck came out. Okay, so we're going to start with the fairies because they want to be acknowledged first thing this morning. And the sage and the oak men, like I said, they actually feel very closely related to each other energetically to me. Sage being the card 19, the I am for me, card numerologically a 1. The key words for this card are wisdom, hidden knowledge, retreat, old age, and patience. The sage is also the shaman. Not all wise men are shaman, and not all shaman are wise men, but this one is both. Power informed by wisdom. And for me, I see that the all of us, the collective humanity on a whole, no matter where each one of us is on our path of overall on the largest picture of the soul's growth, the whole idea is to have these experiences and live them into wisdom. And for me, that's how that works. Um, so let's take, for example, had I been spared some of the consequences of my decisions when I was younger, which you can read that trauma, you can read that abuse, you can read that whatever you like, because the truth of it is, it's all there, right? In some of those decisions that I made. Had I been spared that, living out the consequences, I couldn't have lived those experiences into wisdom. And I see now where, um, sparing our children, because my whole idea was everybody, and I know this is true, everybody wants to give their child a better childhood, a better life than they had, right? And I can see where that ends up sometimes, not always, but sometimes in like, in cases where there's situations, but eventually everything all works out the way it's supposed to. So it's not a horrific thing to allow folks. It certainly wasn't for me. I know now that had any of that been different, I wouldn't be the one who I am now. So that's very interesting that this come up in this way. Uh, so power informed by wisdom and wisdom made manifest by power. This is also the face of Father Time, and we see the other seasons surrounding him. Sometimes he is old man of the mountain, the hermit who searches within for wisdom and understanding, and then is willing to share it with any true seeker who comes to him. His blind eye enables him to look into other worlds, other realms, and the wisdom buried deeply within each of us And well, this is actually very symbolic of any, I would think anyone who's on this path and this quest by the kind that I feel like I've taken up for myself, right? The internal path, the getting to the truth of who we are path, right? He has reached a stage of life where he has let go of many of the activities of younger beings, retreated somewhat from the outer world of fairy, and has become more deeply immersed in the inner landscapes of knowledge, inner vision, contemplation, and spirit. On the exterior, he lives simply, almost austerely, but his inner world is filled to overflowing with richness. In order to pursue his studies more thoroughly, the sage has cultivated detachment. Some may see this as remoteness or coldness, but he is everything. He sees the connections, relationships, and consequences between seemingly separate ideas, beings, and things. Love and compassion are the inevitable consequences of seeing truly, and this leads the sage to share his learning with others. Like any other wise elder, he leads by gently teaching from his vast store of wisdom. When asked for his judgment about something, he is discriminating and generous hearted. He turns a blind eye to punishment, feeling that what is needed is mercy and a way of teaching those who err so they will not make the same mistakes again. And the truth of that is that there's a whole lot of beings on this planet that have done things that, everyone considers evil, right? And well, and that is the judgment of the collective for the most part, right? And in truth, I don't know that for me, and once I binged watch ABC's series Once Upon a Time and saw that all the villains in the enchanted stories in the enchanted forest, they wanted their own happy ending. They really wanted to change. And I don't know, it really showed me that show and the entire premise of it trickling into the collective consciousness shows that what one has to allow for the desire to change, right? And not punish to the degree that, I think that's what this is saying here. He turns a blind eye to punishment, feeling that what is needed is mercy and a way of teaching those who err so they will not make the same mistakes again. Yeah, and I was just flashed this. There's apparently, who knows if it's true, but there's apparently a tribe somewhere where and I'm not sure if it's somewhere in the continent of Africa or where, but there is a tribe who, when a member of their tribe does something, that everybody else feels is wrong, they put that person in the middle of a circle of the village and they love them and tell them what is good about them and, all of that. Making the other things, I don't know, I like the way I've heard it said, and Lisa says this quite a bit. We have to love each other into wholeness instead of, oh, and that's exactly what Wicked is all about, as far as I'm concerned, showing how it's not evil isn't in a vacuum. It doesn't, you just don't, you're not necessarily born evil. I know some people might think so, but, there's reasons things happen like that, right? The sage is constantly learning, while on the one hand, he values tradition and stability. He also understands and values the need for growth and change. He can't go for a walk or a flight around the neighborhood without discovering something new and trying to see how it fits into the whole. He is always expanding his understanding of reality and deepening his awareness. I feel like that's where the collective really is at these moments. It's like an intensely there, you know. As we develop patience and compassion intertwined, we begin to manifest the wisdom of the sage. Here we see wisdom and deep inner understanding of the key. One of the keys of wisdom is to organize, integrate, and simplify one's thoughts. Complexity often leads to confusion. Simplicity is to be valued. This card signifies mental discipline informed by balanced learning and compassion. Tradition is valued, but appropriate change is accepted. The sage knows when to let go and when to move on. Okay, that's very interesting, especially with the surrender to setting limits. He knows when to retreat and think things over. He compassionately and wisely shares his scales of justice, no, his knowledge with others, teaching by example as well as precept. The scales of justice are balanced in the sage's hand. This is a card of compassion and mercy, which I really feel like that's coming out to just remind everyone, there but by the grace of God go I. Do you know what I mean? I've said that way more times than I can count in my life. Mhm. Yeah, buddy. Okay, so the second one to come out from Fairy, I almost feel like it's very very similar energy because the key words here are strength, ancient wisdom, depth for the Oakmen. I had an interesting lesson from the Oakmen about how we humans use fairies to mirror our own projections, and I think we actually do that a lot in the collective as well. To be honest with you, the eyes of the Oakmen are a warm light brown, but some people look at them and say, "Ooh, red eyes, scary." I tried a little experiment using digital magic. I made a copy of the Oakmen and gave them blue eyes. I then asked some people for their impressions of the men, and words like innocent and sweet and melancholy came back. Then I changed them to an unreal looking violet and got responses like, "Ooh, so spiritual, so wise." Had the Oakmen changed? Of course not. But what people projected onto them had. And that speaks to what I was just saying earlier, too, about how things, everybody takes in information in a very specific way based on their experiences. It's a total thing. That's part of what makes us all so unique. When we look at a fairy, we can simply project all of our fears and insecurities and prejudices and delusions on them. Or we can try to see them as they are. In a sense, all oracles are simply mirrors of the wisdom and confusion within the reader, which is a big reason why I say whenever I'm doing a reading like this, or even for someone specific, if I've agreed to that reading, then there's also something in that reading for me. Otherwise, it wouldn't happen. Um, the person wouldn't have asked. They wouldn't have been drawn to me to ask for a reading or whatever. There's always something in every interaction that I have with another, as far as I'm concerned. Exactly what that interaction is or will be, because I've also had the experience, and I've had that with a couple of you guys. Um, Journey said, "My little bestie just said, 'Why are you here?'" I'm like, I'm questioning that exactly. Then I looked at the screen and seen behind you eternal joy. And you're talking about a better childhood in life. Well, it just dawned on me the other day about this eternal thing. This is the water that I've been able to find that I could drink a lot of, and I think that's kind of interesting in and of itself. Um, Lots of mirror happening around there too. Yeah, when you look at the difference between the fact that this is called eternal water and there's also one on the market called liquid death, one has to wonder, words and again perceptions. And when I think about the work of Masaru Emoto with water, how water is memory and it remembers everything. And which water do you want to drink? Water that's been sitting around labeled liquid death or water that's labeled eternal? Think I'll stick with the eternal, thank you. Or, well, I mean, and honestly, ever since that's come to the fore, that's really been called out to me. I'm not doing, and that I think is part of, for me, the coming to presence, really paying attention to what it is I'm exposing all of me to, right? Right down to the label on the products that I put into my physical vessel. Yeah, I think it's important. At least it feels like it for me. And again, everybody's mileage absolutely will vary. So, had the Oakmen changed? Of course not, but what people projected onto them had. When we look at a fairy, we can simply project all of our fears and insecurities and prejudices and delusions on them, or we can try to see them as they are. I think that happens with humans too, not just fairies. In a sense, all oracles are simply mirrors of the wisdom and confusion within the reader. We learn very little. It is only when we actually try to see beyond ourselves that we begin to use the oracle as a mirror of the cosmos and all of its wisdom. I really think that's true. The opportunity is there to do it with others of the collective, but we often aren't able to, whether it's the dynamic that one grew up with that being, and every time something tries to get sorted through, folks go into defense mechanisms, either defensive hearing or offensive speaking, and crap just devolves down from there, and now everybody's arguing and more hurt feelings, so. But coming to know, for me anyway, that that we are all traumatized, and for me, my quest is to not be reactive like that, not listen defensively or speak offensively, to key into what I'm feeling about all of that. I think that's what even folks that aren't aware that that's what they're doing is what is trying to take place on the planet. I feel. One Oracle group member looked at them and wrote, "When I see this card, I lose all track of time. I feel deep grounding and peace, contentment. Everything is there if you just take the time to be part of it." And I think that's true too. It is a deep homecoming for me. To me, the Oak Men show the deep wisdom of age, the inner peace and strength of the elders. This is what the Oak Men are about. Can you look at them and see them as they are? Or can you only see your own projections? The wisdom, like the Oak Men, is full of no, sorry, the universe, like the Oak Men, is full of wisdom and compassion and strength, but it doesn't always come in pretty packages. This card depicts the strength and wisdom of age. It also reminds us that what we need to know, what is truly there to be seen, cannot be discovered by a superficial glance and a hasty reaction. And no, it takes presence. It takes a moment to allow things to soak in, or at least it does for me anyway. In a reading, the Oakmen tell us to look slowly and deeply into the heart of the matter and to see past the superficialities of the surface. Consider the history of the situation in depth and learn from the past. And in depth for me, especially when there's another situation with other beings, is to remember forefront of the consciousness that that being may be reacting to something that is a deep wound or a deep wound of trauma that they are not even aware of. And that has made all of my life a whole lot easier. Consider the history of the situation in depth and learn from the past. Consult others with more experience than you have. Learn from the wisdom of the elders, both those available to you personally and those you encounter in books and elsewhere. In this matter, it would be wise to make your decisions after more pondering and study of the situation. I would say, yeah, if you're considering something, this would be a good sign to take that as. Consider motivations in depth. Take action only after thorough deliberation. The Oak men tell us that haste may be at this moment our worst enemy. Well, I concur. And in truth, that's that I recognize the energy of that card as something that, we just moved through here in many ways here in the house, especially coming up, finding out we're gonna have to beat feet pretty quickly. Okay, so now we're on to the alchemy elementals, and this one is Land Flower Star. We've had this one before. It's a 3. It is also a 3, so that's interesting. I believe, isn't that what I saw there? Land Flower Star. Yeah, that's a 3. So it too is representative of the Trinity, which is very interesting. So we have 2 of those this go round. The soul of spring has come for you. That's interesting. I kind of felt it's very cold here, but it's almost as though I could smell spring in the air the other day, which it has been too cold for that, so I don't even know why that is. It doesn't matter what the calendar says, your life is in bloom, my dear. Celebrate. Just as the flowers awaken to the warmth of the sun's proximity, so too is your heart blossoming now. This is an expansive moment in your earth walk. There is a mirth and a lightness emanating from your spirit that is drawing others near. They sense your majesty and are drawn to the fragrant energy you are giving off. I'm not so sure this is talking about me right now because I just feel so tired after yesterday. And I know I got a lot more coming for me in just the next little bit here. There is nothing you can do to hide your radiance, so allow yourself to bask in the attention and enjoy it. You are blooming, babe. Let people smell your petals and admire your blossoms. Oh no, gotta have a shower before any of that can be going on, man. There's been too much cleaning around here. You are an inspiration to so many in this moment. Oh, I don't know about that, but I actually have been inspiring myself in many ways because I am tired and because I am in pain and I am still kicking and moving and every every moment that I do, every moment that I say suck it up and this too shall pass and really just pull it together, I feel better. So it's not I don't know, it just feels right, if that makes any sense. I'm sure it probably doesn't. Like I said, your individual mileage is absolutely going to vary. Um, so the last card, our Rumi Oracle, Dance of the Divine Feminine, card number 42. I was hunting for it and it was already open to it in the back there. So I always feel this one in such a real way because if you look, it's almost like that energy up there in the top to me it screams fetus, right? It's the multidimensionality of the being that we see looking up there. To me, is part of what this speaks to me at this moment of now. Anyway, I feel that in a very ooh, and it's actually even a projection in some ways that just came from the last one. So, Dance of the Divine Feminine. If a tree could move from one place to another, it would not suffer the pain of the saw or the oppressive wounds. If the sun and the moon stood still like the rocks, they could not offer brilliance. How bitter the taste of water would be if the river stopped its flow, remaining still like seawater. When the seawater rises to become a cloud, it loses its bitterness and pours the rain of sweetness. I have given you only a few examples. You can figure out the rest. Break away from the self and enter the kingdom of love. Rumi. How can your feet bear to be still when the music is so lush and inviting? How can you hold yourself back from the tide of love when the horizon looms so vast and exciting? How can you not arch your back and respond with ecstasy to the lover's touch, saying in absolute submission, yes, more? You were made to move and grow, to love and flow. Even mountains change. Surrender the stodgy ways of the mind and become willing to dance in the great orchestrations of love. You may feel unsettled, beloved, as though the ground beneath you is not so solid. You may touch it to see, is it moving? Of course, it is hurtling through the skies, spinning, tilted on its axis. It's amazing you aren't passed out on the floor in utter dizziness, yet you stand there, imagining you have a choice of not moving. What funny foolishness. Yeah, that's true, huh? Let us laugh about it together. How can you even imagine it? Only through some misplaced fear. It is such a small craziness, really. You can cast it off, that small crazy fear. Let it return to the earth mother to become fertilizer for the grander and far more exciting insanity of divine love instead. Give up that tiny insanity in favor of the in favor of the greater craziness of love. You cannot be unmoved by it. The rhythm of life will get you shaking your hips eventually. How could you not become entranced by the gleaming dance floor, shimmering with possibility and invitation? This oracle comes to you with guidance. Your life may feel as though it is being tipped upside down. Yes, absolutely it does in this moment of now, seeing how what we got going on, right? It's also quite exciting for me anyway around here because we're getting ready to move into a much larger, better situation, I think, for ourselves. Um, Perhaps you feel as though the great beloved in a feisty mood has grabbed your ankles, is holding you upside down and shaking you wildly until your skirt is over your head or the pockets of your pants become freed of their contents. keys and wallet dropping to the floor in disarray. Your hair is messy, your bottom is in the air, and your sense of orientation is nowhere to be found. Blood is rushing to your head, and goodness knows you just want to be put down, to have a moment to come to your senses. So, the beloved will give you that gift, but don't imagine it will last for too long. The great beloved esteems you capable of so much more than being sure footed and sensible. You are capable of more whirling and stumbling, whilst inspired by the music of the spheres. If you accept the great invitation to dance, there won't be so much roughhousing going on. It won't be needed because your hair will already be in a mess, your blood will already be pumping, and you'll be sweating, laughing, smiling, and dancing. The great beloved will be alive in you, which is all that grand seducer ever wanted in the first place, even with all the jokes and horseplay. Disarrayed and disheveled by the divine beloved, you are able to break out of a too ordinary world. You will explore the delightful consequences of rocked boats and upset apple carts being swept away by love as you dare to dream bolder and wilder dreams for yourself and the world. Yes, let's do that. There is bigger magic for you to weave this lifetime. Prosaic priorities inherited from the world are stuff and nonsense. I think that's true. It is the priorities of the heart that matter to you. If you are ever to right yourself whilst the beloved is tipping you upside down like a soaring bird in a most impressive aerial dynamics, it will be through establishing right priorities, the priorities of your own heart, and they will be different for each, make no mistake. So ask your heart what matters most and attend to that. Yes, oh my gosh, yes. Move towards that which brings you joy in every moment that presents itself to you. Soon you will be able to find your orientation, even if everything you have once held onto appears to be shimmering and insubstantial, a mere dance of light rather than solid ground. This will become so easy for you because your orientation will flow from within, from the heart, and no matter what shifts and changes take place around you, your center will remain strong. This is what the beloved wants for you. Such peace and relief it shall bring to you. But perhaps some shaking about is required first, in case you are reluctant to give up some mainstays, unaware of how much they drain life away from your heart center. I think that's, um, I think there are ways of seeing that, right? At least for myself, there are ways of observing when that is taking place. When you, what's the quote here? It says specifically, but perhaps some shaking about is required first in case you are reluctant to give up some mainstays. For me, that reads programming and conditioning. That is all by design, of course, unaware of how much they drain life away from your heart center. This oracle brings you this message also. There is something you are holding on to, a person, a place, a thing, a belief, a vision, and you need to let it go because it wants to grow. It may grow and change into something completely, utterly different, or it may grow into exactly what you are imagining. Whichever outcome, growth is happening, and you'll find your And you will find you enjoy the way much more with greater flow and support and less bashing of your head against the proverbial brick wall if you can just let it happen. Don't worry if it seems as though your world is coming to an end or you are losing something you once loved. This is just the shaking about by the great beloved to lead you into a deeper, sweeter dance of the divine being and becoming. Put your focus into your heart and realize you are more ready than you think. Now shake those hips, stamp those feet, close your eyes, clap your hands. There, better already. Wow. Okay, I'm really glad I did this today um, for several reasons because I needed it. As I said before, I don't do these for myself, but boy, I can see my surroundings in this and surrender to setting limits. It is healthy to set boundaries in relationships. Practice expressing your needs and remember that no is a complete sentence, especially when living in community as we are here, right? Not allowing, and this is something I take full responsibility for, right? If there is something on the heart, on the mind that is, sort of like there I found out there was some miscommunications and things like that. That happens all the time in the out there as well, right? And so whenever there's something going on that you don't feel very comfortable about and you say nothing, you ask no questions, you don't voice concerns, uh who is at fault, right? Because honestly, when when it came right down to it, it's a matter of miscommunication in many cases, right? Or at least that has borne out to show me the case in so many things. Not just this. I've had, I've had, I've watched movies and stuff where I'm like, oh, see, all no communication. If there had just been some communication there, that wouldn't have happened, that kind of thing. So let's close this out by having a universe card, and we'll get out of here. An hour is enough. I hope that you have found something useful from this. I think I am. I believe there's some big alignments coming up, one of them being the new moon, and I know that I'm to record that. So that will be the last thing you'll see on the channel for at least a week, maybe two. Turn on your love light, the universe says. Sometimes the best way to remain sane is to love like crazy. Works for me, the universe. Well, I like that. Turn on your love life, your love light. Yes, I love that. Well, thanks, guys, for being here. I hope it was helpful. I hope there was something in it for you. If not, don't make it into something that it's not. Um, Remember to move towards that which brings you the highest joy in each moment that presents itself to you. As far as I'm concerned, it's just a matter of, perspective. If something's going on and it's not your highest joy, step out of your perspective and see what could present itself. Perhaps there's a different perspective I'm meant to see, right? That I got maybe I got attached to something and it's not turning out the way I thought it would. And I need to step out of that perspective and see that there might be a larger perspective I'm not looking at. I really feel like this is very indicative of creating one's own reality as well. So I love this reading for today. Until we meet again, my friends, I hope that you will be well. Remember, if you are not subscribed here and you feel to do so, that would be lovely. Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when I upload videos or when I go live or when any one of us go live or upload videos. Actually, the other two gals that are associated with this channel, we've just all been moving through some really interesting stuff, and there will be some conscious conversations coming It's just exactly when all of that's going to take place is anybody's guess at this moment. Anything else? If you're watching this on Sassy C or Sheila, come over to New Light Streaming Love and be subscribed in both places. Until then, until we meet again, be well, my friends.